Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal rock and prog music. And this is New Music's Alive in 2025. I'm going to give my quick first impressions of two new albums that came out today, June 20th, 2025. And I'll talk about them in my order of preference. Starting with Cryptopsy and their album An Insatiable Violence. This is the ninth album by this Canadian band, and I always have to support fellow Canadians. Much love to you guys. And this is kind of pretty brutal, technical death metal, some deathcore influences. I'm going to put this in my excellent tier. Big thanks to the Season of Mist label who released this album, and they were kind enough to send me a digital version before the release date. That definitely makes me feel like a real music YouTuber, and I'm starting to see more early promo albums sent my way from labels and bands. So if you're a label or a band that wants to be featured in one of these New Music's Alive in 2025, my email is on my channel in my About section. So I always appreciate that very much. It gives me time to listen to the albums many times, even before the release date, so I can have my first impressions ready to go on release date and get these videos up in a more timely manner. Now, about Cryptopsy, I'm not super familiar with Cryptopsy. I think I've only heard this album and their last album. I haven't done a deep dive into their back catalog yet, but I thought their last album, As Gamora Burns, was very good. Crushingly brutal, heavy, with all harsh growling vocals, great technical guitar playing and drumming. Definitely check that album out if you're a fan of Archspire and the Faceless. They don't quite go as far on the guitar shredding and speed as those other bands do, or quite as far into the prog as the Faceless does. Cryptopsy focuses their sound on being crushingly heavy and brutal. And this album continues that sound from the last one. I think this album, though, actually outdoes the last one. The brutality level is off the charts on this one. You have to be ready for that here. It's all intense, harsh vocals, really fast drums, chunky, fast guitar riffs. It was almost too brutal for me, but I can appreciate how there are some moments that groove, that have a little bit of groove to them, so you're not just being blasted at 11 out of 10 for the whole album. There's some moments that you can bob your head to, and there's even a couple of moments where the music slows down a bit, so it's not all coming at you a mile a minute. But it's a lot of fast brutality for the most part. Some of the riffs have almost sound like atonal and just chuggy, and it doesn't really matter what the notes are that they're playing. But some of the riffs have some much needed melody in the guitar lines. So it's not completely void of melody. You're not going to get any melody in the vocals, but if you are a person that needs some melody in your music, at least there's some in the guitar lines. It's not really a melodic album, though, but it's not completely void of melody. I wouldn't go as far as calling it melodic death metal ever, but there were some moments that reminded me of bands like the Black Dahlia Murder, which is a band I enjoy. And there's also some breakdowns that go a bit towards deathcore, like a Lorna Shore, but I wouldn't call this a deathcore album. I think it's firmly in the technical death metal, just with intense speed and off-the-charts drumming. And if that sounds good to you, definitely check this one out, An Insatiable Violence by Cryptopsy. Next, I want to talk about something completely different from that, which is Nad Sylvan and his album Monumentata. This is the 8th album by this Swedish artist. And this one is kind of symphonic, progressive pop rock. It's got some soul influences. I'm putting this in my very good tier. Nad Sylvan has played with several bands in the past and works with Steve Hackett from Genesis on his Genesis Revisited projects. And the singles I heard ahead of this album, Monumentata, were very good, but nothing mind-blowing for me. I expected this going into it to be well-executed, well-performed music, but nothing too innovative or unique. And that's pretty much what I got. My favorite track currently is Monte Carlo Priceless. There's great vocals there from Nad, where he can slip in and out of falsetto so smoothly, and he has great melodies. There's a great sound on this album, great production, great guitar licks. And there's a lot of amazing musicians featured as guests on this album. It's not exactly an album where these guests get too flashy or showcase their virtuosity, but they have some amazing players on here that are virtuosos, and they perform everything perfectly and flawlessly. But it's not exactly an album that you listen to for hearing crazy shredding and virtuosity. So these players played with a bit of restraint, I'd say, but you have great players like Tony Levin on bass, who's played with King Crimson and is just an amazing player. You have Randy McStein on guitar on some tracks, and I didn't know what tracks each of these play on, but just kind of reading off the guest list from their Bandcamp. Randy McStein, great guitar player. He's toured with Porcupine Tree, I believe, and yeah, he's just an excellent player. Nick Beggs on bass guitar, also has played with Steven Wilson, amazing bass player. Jonas Reingold on bass guitar, amazing player, and loved his Car Mechanic album from earlier this year as well. Lally Larson on synthesizer, Joe Denizen on violin, Marco Miniman on drums, all amazing players. And that's not even all of them, but yeah, what a great star-studded list of guest features on this album. If you like any of those players and just want to hear their work, definitely check this out. If you like Steve Hackett, if you like Genesis, this is a good one for you to check out. Great vocals, nothing too innovative or changing the game, but just well-written songs that are well-performed and well-produced. And that's what you get here. If that sounds good to you, check out Monumentata by Nad Sylvan. And that's it for my first impressions on these two albums. What do you think of these ones? Definitely let me know down in the comments. And did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. And stay tuned for this channel. If you like metal, rock, and prog music, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop on when I post new videos. I post my first impressions of new music pretty much weekly. And what am I going to be talking about in about a week's time? There's some new music still coming out in June. Streetlight Manifesto is releasing The Place Behind the Stars. Baby Metal is releasing Metal Fourth. Sodom is releasing The Arsonist. Jacko M. Jaksic is releasing Son of Glenn, and Grace Hayhurst is releasing The World is Dying. So those are 5 albums that I'll probably post my first impressions on in about a week's time. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on those, also hit that subscribe button. And peace out.